With respect to the question of Mr. Liu's statement of a budget requiring 60 votes, I assume he was referring to the Budget Control Act that we passed last year that did require 60 votes.
But I want to read for our viewers something Senator Harry Reid, the Democratic and the Majority Leader in the U.S. Senate, who said, "We do not need to bring a budget to the floor this year. It's done. We don't need to do it." Talking about last year's two-year agreement and saying, it's, you know, so it's already done. This budget, I can assure you, and you know because you've been in this town for a long time, is going to be attacked as a political document. This is a budget that promises 2 million more jobs if it's passed, so that come September, the president can go out there and say, well, if they'd only pass my budget, we'd have 2 million more jobs, but those darn Republicans are standing in my way, when in fact, even the Democratic leader in the Senate says, you know what, we don't need a budget.
We also need to be honest. You can't pass a budget in the Senate of the United States without 60 votes, and you can't get 60 votes without bipartisan support. So unless Republicans are willing to work with Democrats in the Senate, Harry Reid is not going to be able to get a budget passed.
The former budget director, current chief of staff, goes out on Sunday shows using it as a point to make against Republicans. And budgetary measures can pass the Senate with a vote of 51.
It's so completely wrong. You have to ask yourself, how could Jack Lew, who's, as you say, was the budget director twice under the Clinton administration now today, made a mistake like this? I don't think he lied. I mean, he would have known he'd be caught out. I think this administration is so used to blaming everything on Republicans, earthquakes, hailstorms, who knows, rising of the oceans, that even here Jack just sort of felt that he had to blame this on Republicans, when in fact the passage of a budget in the Senate has nothing to do with Republicans. It's all in the hands of the Senate Democrats, who, as you say, have a majority.
Do you agree with White House Chief of Staff Jack Lew that it takes 60 votes to pass a budget in the Senate?
It takes 60 votes to pass a budget like the BCA, which was
No,
passed.
that's not a budget. You know, it's a budget resolution. Now,
Budget resolution is 51 votes.
Right, it's 51 votes. Okay, so the clear and unambiguous fact is that the Democrats who control the Senate could pass a budget without a single Republican vote if they chose to exercise the leadership of actually pursuing a budget.
Mr. Liu, now that President's Chief of Staff made another false claim this weekend saying that the Democratic Senate is not doing a budget for the third straight year because it requires 60 Senate votes. The law's clear. It only takes 51 votes to pass a budget. And if the Republicans are given the honor by the American people to lead this chamber next year, we will pass a budget, and it will be an honest budget, and it will change the debt course of America.